Welcome, everybody. This is John Morrow, and you are listening or watching the program that is entitled Resolve to Live Forward. Thank you for joining me. New podcast. This is episode number 2. We begin today as we talk about really the subject of why I like to do what I do and why I think it's important to all of us, because there's a community of people out there. I was a part of such a community, and I'll try to describe it for you and define it as best as possible. Although age often is not a factor, very often it might be. And the reason why is because as we go through the process of maturation in life, there is that youthful exuberance and energy that we possess, and that unbridled enthusiasm for trying new things, doing new things, and becoming more relevant in the world and being successful. In my time growing up, a high school diploma was acceptable to get certain kinds of jobs, but if you truly wanted to have a meaningful job, and meaningful in that particular time meant a job that provided you with a good income, provided you with important benefits, in particular health care, and provided you an opportunity to be able to maybe one day purchase what at that particular time in life was the great American dream, home, you needed a college degree. I'll go so far as to say in my time, the college degree, in terms of what the specialization was not always necessarily the first priority. Just having a degree was sometimes all that a particular employer would want. But usually that was because the jobs that they were hiring for involved having people who would take on roles of leadership. Example, a lot of companies do their own training, and they want to hire people who can become management material within the company and lead a sales force. And a lot of that sales force, or that business force, or that operational force, or that service force will be comprised of individuals who may or may not have college degrees, but do have at least a high school education. And they felt that someone with a college education was the best possible choice to be able to be a person to lead those individuals and take the reins and build success and work with folks. That didn't always work. I found that to be true in my case, because my major has never really done anything for me in terms of helping me other than getting initially a job when I came out of college. But it was a job I learned to hate very quickly because it wasn't the kind of work I truly wanted to do. And over the course of the years, I've done a number of things, but you arrive at a point, and this is where I want to bring up the subject of today's discussion. You arrive at a point where for you, just going to a job every day, once you have one that you've settled in and you reasonably enjoy doing it, and you do a pretty good job at it, and your performance reviews are good, you get up every day, you go to work, you do your thing. Life is full of surprises and unexpected things, and there's a lot more going on than just the job, but I'm using the job kind of like as a central focus point or a core point. This is what your routine is. You have a job, you get up, you go to it, you work that 8, 9, or 10 hours, and then you come home at the end of the day. Hopefully you'll have weekends off. You'll also have accrued vacation time. You'll have all those other benefits as well, but for you, life is just about going through the motions, and there comes a point where you become dissatisfied. Not dissatisfied necessarily in a begrudging sort of way or in a depressed sort of way. It's just, it's the job. It's what you do. And you get to the point there where, although you do it well, and most of the time you like it, something in the back of your mind is saying, is this all there is? Is that all there is? When I was much younger, I heard a song. Many of you out there may not have heard of it. Some of you may. The singer's name was Peggy Lee. And the title of the song was, Is That All There Is? Is that all there is? But as you listen to the verses and understand the period piece, this was the 50s. So as I look around here, I think to myself, that was a long time ago. Things were a lot different, a lot simpler, and they were much cruder. They were ancient. But as she talked about these things, she realized after each of those experiences, is that really all there is? What's the purpose? It seems meaningless. And that's an interesting point too, because there's a book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes. And one of the men purported to be one of the wisest men ever to have lived in history, according to recorded history, Solomon, king of Israel, wrote that life and everything that we do is basically meaningless. Now, of course, we have to understand it in context, but it does raise an interesting point. Is life for you basically meaningless? Because as Peggy Lee was singing the verses of this song, she would then follow it up with this chorus. Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Well, if that's all there is, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball, if that's all there is. In a sense, she was saying, eat, drink, and be merry, for today you live, tomorrow you may be dead. Okay, I don't mean to sound morbid, but we do get in a place in our life where, and kind of use the word, we get stuck. It doesn't mean that we can't extricate ourselves from the muck that is that thing that has us stuck. What it means is that we just go through the motions. Life doesn't seem to have any meaningfulness. And having a purpose is important. And over the course of the last, I would say, 3 decades, but particularly during the 21st century, as we are now in the year 2024, this almost completed first quarter of the century, that's hard to believe when I say that, the first quarter of a new century, has presented us with new challenges because change is rapid, exponential, and sometimes alarmingly intimidating. I'm not going to say frightening, because frightening is really more for individuals who think that everything in technology is inherently evil. I personally, and I think most of you might possibly feel the same way, I don't subscribe to that idea. I think technology is very, very useful and very beneficial if used in the right way, in the right context, and the right purpose. But as to its purposes and what it's used for, depending upon which particular sect of humanity we're talking about, that's a discussion for another day. The key thing is that we are in a highly advanced technological age where these advances in technology are moving incredibly fast, because as the technology gets more precise, the things that it can do quicker. And there is always the possibility that if not properly handled, it could actually replace people and do the jobs that people have normally done. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm actually in a new career coming out of retirement. That technology is very helpful to me because I'm using it here as I come to you on the podcast. But I was at a point where I felt that I had come to a place where I was stuck, where I didn't find the process of day-to-day living a meaningful thing. Now, I wasn't depressed or sad or broken. I wasn't unhappy. I just said, I have the job. I go do it. I need the money. It'll give me a retirement. It'll provide me with insurance. And there are things that I can be doing. And one day, maybe I'll be able to retire and do a few things that I want to do for myself. And there are lots of great American dreams. And if you go out in the world right now, you'll see a lot of people who work jobs, and it appears they save their money well. Congratulations. And they actually buy things like RVs. I'm not talking about campers. I'm talking about recreational motorhomes that are like giant buses. They're homes on wheels. It's interesting how we, started with the van being turned into, a love shack. And then we have these vans turned into campers / motorhomes. Then they start building bigger motorhomes. Then motorhomes become diesel powered vehicles built by companies that manufacture mass transit buses. Can you just picture that? And then you got the tiny house nation that's breaking out, and everybody wants to live in a much more efficient, smaller, simpler, much more perhaps even efficient, eco-friendly type environment. As for myself, I've lived in the same home since 1980. So I've been in this house now for almost 44 years. And I brought my son home from the hospital to this house, and this is where I've lived. And it's a little house. It's not a big house, but when I say little house, it's not a tiny house. It's just a very small, simple, straightforward bungalow that was actually built in 1926. So its frame was built in a time way back before there were things like air conditioners. It was even hard to find fans at the time because the technology in the 1920s was not nearly what it was, today. Not even close. It was just a hair thin, piece of something that today has grown into a massive, massive field like a golf course of grass. It's just huge. But the point being was, this was how one lived. One had a roof over their head, one had transportation, one got to go on vacations, one did all kinds of sorts of things, and it was just the life that we lived. But it was routine, it was mundane, it was humdrum. We kept doing it day after day after day. And I found myself saying, why are we doing this? Isn't there something better? But I was at a point where I realized there's not a whole lot I can do to change that dynamic, because it's not easy to break out of something like that when you depend upon it on a day-to-day to live. And what you dream you might or wish you had done is just not practical. Now, there are people out there in the world, and you might be one of them, who is saying to yourself, yep, I've got all these things. I have the creature comforts. I'm doing just fine. But is this all there is? Isn't there something better out there for me? And my answer to you is absolutely yes. And I think you feel the same way. How do you make a difference? How do you switch where you're at now? And you have to be willing to take the risk, because I can assure you there's a risk associated with it. How do you get from where you're at, that you've been doing consistently, faithfully, conscientiously, and loyally, I might add, how do you move yourself to a new place, or at least begin to make a dent in an opportunity to do something that would be personally fulfilling and would meet something that's a burning desire in your heart? And that is the whole point of the concept of living forward. The day becomes something you look forward to. The routine is wearing you down. You just go through the motions Now, that doesn't mean that life is dull. Stuff happens, both good and bad. But for you personally, you want to do something more important and relevant and meaningful for you and for those you love than you're currently doing. And in your mind, the burning thing is that little pinpoint of light that you see. And you want to know how you can connect with it and find out if there truly is a chance that you could move in a new direction towards a new frontier and do something that would really not just be meaningful to you, but would make a difference in the lives of the people you love and would make a dent in the universe. Some of us start sooner. Some of us start later. And never forget, some of the greatest stories of success and doing things the right way are individuals who were able to capture a vision, a dream, a mission, and a purpose at a relatively young age. And then there are some people that didn't capture it until they were at a much more advanced age. I fit the latter. Life is meaningful for me now. Is life meaningful for you? And if not, are you looking for an opportunity to find a way to shift, to change gears, to move from where you're at and begin to see something else? Now, will that something else possibly change the direction of your life, including taking you out of the work that you're currently doing? Not necessarily, but yes, that is a real possibility. If you're at a stage where you could retire technically and be comfortable and have a means whereby you could keep that roof over your head and pay your bills and take care of your loved one or loved ones, and you could work in something else, taking an early retirement, and it might not be a bad idea. As a matter of fact, it could be the most incredible thing you ever do. But we're all different. We're all unique. We all have different things that we want to do. The key is finding that thing that you want to do so that you can move towards it. Are you getting the picture here? Move towards it. I want us to talk about a word that you've already seen and heard. It's on the screen, and it's in the title of this podcast. That word is resolve. Here's a definition that I want to ask you to consider embracing if you want to apply the word resolve in your life. I like my coffee. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. The word is resolve. The definition that I adopted with the help of my late wife, Donna, is having a definite, firm plan of action. Now, I threw in the word firm. It's important to remember that firm ties in with the word affirmation, for example. An affirmation is a promise. It is almost like you're swearing to. Something firm is solid. It doesn't have any give. It can be counted on to be stable and hold you. A definite, firm plan of action. Having a definite, firm plan of action means you need to know what it is that you see in your visionary communication skills and in your visionary mindset. And you're able to pick that out and say, that's what I want to do. That's what drives me. That's what I feel. That's my as Simon Sinek says, my why. When I saw the Golden Circle, and Simon Sinek talked about it, he talked about the inside out concept of living, which is something over the course of a large portion of my life I did not live. I was not inside out thinking. I was always thinking about, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And depending upon what I wanted to do, I had to learn how to do it or find a way to know how to do it. Maybe I knew how to do it. I just needed to find a place where I could take what I already knew how to do and do that. But that was incorrect thinking. The true power of inside out living, that golden circle that Simon Sinek talks about, is nothing can happen with the what you do or the why, with the what you do or how you do it until you know why you do it. Because if you know your why, you have something that drives you from here. It has nothing to do with the external surroundings. It's driving you from within you. There's something inside of you that's burning, something that is churning, that wants to go forward. And once you identify what that is that means more to you than anything else, and in doing it, you will not only make a tremendous difference in your life, but you'll make an incredible impact in the lives of the people that you love and the world that you have an opportunity to engage and connect with. There are people out there who feel the same way you do and have the same desire that you do, but they're stuck. They can't shift. They're in some kind of a place where they don't seem to see a way out. There's a hope burning inside of them, but they're unable to see it and to know how to make it happen. And it's a daunting task. It was daunting for me. And I had help along the way. And this is why I do what I do. I come to you not because this is about me. I come to you because this is about you. Where are you in the journey? Can I possibly help you with that? I dearly would like to try, but we need to talk to each other about an idea that is within each of us that identifies our true why and who we are. But in order to do that, we need something that we can apply that gives us a framework to begin to create success. For me, it was the word resolve. And for the purposes of this podcast, the word resolve is going to be a core component of this conversation. With the help of my late wife, Donna, when we adopted the word resolve as our power word for living, it is a power word. That's what we call it. You may call it anything you like, but we call it a power word. We looked at the word and we thought about what definition of that word best suits what we're trying to do as a couple. And although my wife is deceased now, it continues to be the driving force behind why I do what I do. It is the title of my book, Resolve, Your Blueprint for Intentional Success. It's the title, or at least the first word in the title of my podcast, Resolve to Live Forward. Resolve is also not just a word in and of itself that is very powerful in its meaning, depending upon the definition you apply, but each letter of resolve became the template for my wife and I to create 7 personal daily habits or traits or personal best practices. Each of these 7 letters, given that the definition is having a definite, firm plan of action, that's resolve, each of these 7 letters are behaviors that I have to put into place that we could consider putting into place going forward each day. I thank you for allowing me to share my power word with you. And I might be possibly selling myself down the river, but as we go forward, you might decide that for you, there's another word that you would rather take ownership of that would be your personal power word. But what I want us to do here today is talk about how resolve and its 7 specific behaviors based upon each of the 7 letters of resolve can work in helping us to find a way to begin to shift out of stuck, get unstuck, and then move forward into a vibrant and meaningful life. We have to start somewhere. At the end of the day, anything that is accomplished still must be done by each of us on an individual basis. But working together as a family, as a tribe, as a team, as a collective, we can all help one another. I'm just thankful for the opportunity that I can actually come to you in a podcast and talk to you about how meaningful this is to me and how it has become a purpose-driven piece of my life, giving me mission, but it also keeps my vision alive. I want to also give you an important caveat. I mentioned this in the previous podcast. Mindset, your mindset, our mindset is extremely important. If we don't have the right mindset, we won't be able to overcome what will be impediments and obstacles and deterrents, things and people that will want to get in our way and prevent us from being successful. This is life. It's the stuff of life. I've lived for 74 years. I just had a 74th birthday at the beginning of June. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have excellent health. I'm enjoying doing things, and I'm experiencing an incredible time in my life. But it's also an incredibly challenging time, and it is daunting at times. But I still have to have the right kind of mindset. This is where I want to first begin. As we talk about resolve, the power word, and the acronym, and the letters RESOLVE and what they represent, mindset is where we will get the most work done. That mindset has to be in the right place. So let me tell you about 2 specific kinds of mindset. Both have their benefits, but one I feel is much more effective than the other. There is the fixed mindset. A fixed mindset can be a good thing. It can also be a limiting thing. When you have a fixed mindset, it's a phrase that we sometimes said growing up. I heard it among adults as I was growing up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I'm set in my ways. Yeah, I get it. And there are certain aspects of my life which are fixed. It's just how I do things. But what I've done is I have not subordinated them so much as I have understood them in the context that they need to be in. They create a foundational stability as to values, to behaviors in terms of what I do each and every day, whether it's rest, whether it's diet, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, whether it's finance, all of those sorts of things. There has to be a fixed mindset. You have to have foundationally fixed pieces. There's a plan of action there. But at the same time, I believe more than ever, and there's a story behind why I believe this, that a growth mindset is an incredibly powerful thing. Because a growth mindset allows you to be open to receive new information. As we talk about the acronym RESOLVE, and we look at the various letters, you'll understand why the growth mindset is such an important and essential part. I know what it has done for me, and I hope to be able to show you what a growth mindset can do for you. If you're listening to this podcast, and if you have joined with me and want to follow along, I can assure you in the growth mindset process, you may already be in that mindset with a lot of things where you're looking, learning, understanding, and you're eager to learn more and eager to take risk and eager to take a chance and eager to push yourself into a place that may be uncomfortable, but it has tremendous potential to be rewarding. The whole principle in what we do when we resolve to have a definite, firm plan of action and to live forward is to have the right mindset. And that will come into play as we talk through this process. Beginning with episode 3, we're going to talk about the definition of resolve as it relates to having a definite, firm plan of action. I'll also touch on the other meanings of resolve. And if you want to jump on this ahead of schedule for next week's podcast, go ahead and pull up the dictionary version of it. You can use any kind of dictionary you want to. The common one will give you, I remember when I was looking at an abridged Webster's paperback dictionary that I saw 4 different definitions for resolve. And all of them are very, very good. And all of them in their proper application are very meaningful. But the one that I grabbed hold of with my wife, Donna, back there in 2017, when we adopted the word, was the one that says having a definite, firm plan of action or having a firm plan of action. As I move forward, please know I have a firm plan of action with this. But we are the collective that are going to be striving for that. And the principal purpose behind it is if you're stuck and you're tired of being stuck and you're tired of the same old, and you're tired of just the mundane, humdrum, going through the motions type of life, and you say, hey, there's got to be more than just this. We have a place where we can gather together here, and we can do this. And what I hope you'll do is if this is something you see that benefits you, and I can have a place in helping you with that, we can do this together. I want you to share it with your friends and people you know who feel they're in the same place. I am not for everybody, and I don't strive to be for everybody. I am seeking for people who are looking to find their purpose, their why, their meaningfulness, because somewhere along the line in this journey of life, they came to a point and got stuck. And now all life is just going through the motions. We will work to resolve to live forward. And there are tools that can help us do that. I want you to be a part of that family. I want us to be a part of that tribe. I want you to find your place in this world now. Not what you thought it was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. What is your place now in this world? And is there more that you could be doing? My answer is yes. I believe you are destined to do more and to become more and to become something even more impactful. I believe we can make a dent in eternity. I mean, a significant dent. We don't have to transform eternity. We just have to transform ourselves. And in transforming ourselves, something vibrant and meaningful will take place. Resolve to Live Forward, the podcast. I'm John Morrow. My website is johnmorrowcoaching.com. That's johnmorrowcoaching.com. And my email address is john@johnmorrowcoaching.com. There are other sites where you can find me. And if you want to look locate me, just look up John Morrow or John Morrow DTM. Also, I'm not afraid to tell you, I live in Lakeland, Florida. So I'm in the central part of the state, located in a wonderful city, positioned almost halfway between Orlando and Tampa. I'm bringing you this podcast because I feel I have a mission, a vision, and a purpose, and I want you to capture the same why. I want you to find out why you are, who you are, and what you're going to do with your life and how it's going to make a difference to the world that you live in. I hope you'll join me again at this time next week by the grace of God. But this edition of Resolve to Live Forward is done for today. Thank you for bearing through to the bitter end with me. Please like, comment, share, reach out to me, give me your feedback, and help me to reach others. Help me to reach those who, like you, want to find a way forward. And in order to find that way forward, they need to get unstuck. But in getting unstuck, then they can shift it into gear and they can find vibrancy and meaningfulness in life. That is my desire for you more than anything else. So I want to thank you for joining me. It's been an honor to talk to you. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And I thank you for being my guest today. I'll look forward to talking to you again, hopefully at this time next week. Until then, if I may, with your permission, be blessed, God bless, and stay happy, stay healthy, stay hopeful, and frankly, stay hilarious. Bye-bye for now.